Everything is proceeding as we have foreseen. Welcome to the podcast where we discuss how to outmaneuver your opponents. I'm Faith, and I'm here with his Dudeness, while J-Rod is away this week. Today, we're going to talk about the first regional in Europe, a scourge of spoilers, and then we chat about our gameplay this week. But as we said on the top, let's talk about the first regional and the only one in Europe that just happened. Dudeness, what were some of the decks that we saw that made the top 8 of this event?
Well, first and foremost, the winner was a Sabine green deck, but not running the base you think. He was running Data Vault, which is super spicy. I haven't seen that before, but, could be good in the mirror. And then second place, we have a blue Anakin. This one not running Colossus, just regular blue base. That's another curious choice. And then to round out the top 4 was a Quinlan Tarkin Town, and then the regular suspect, Sabine ECL. And then we have rest of it is Anakin Blue, Ray Data Vault, another ECL Sabine, and Akira with the Data Vault. So we have a nice little mix there of aggro, mid-range, and control with the Kira. The lone control. I assume the Ray is more control too with the Data Vault.
And before we go too much into the decks themselves, this is for the regional tournament. And a reminder that regionals are the highest level event outside of the Galactic Championship. We're actually only getting 2 before the Galactic Championship in all of Season 0, 1 in Europe and 1 in North America, which is going to be the May long weekend, I think, in America, and it's going to be in Minneapolis. So I think that's May 24th weekend. So that we'll have to look for the American one. As well, the prizes were a participation prize of Ray and the champion cards, and the top placement cards were Emperor Palpatine from Step 1.
I've had a chance to see the Obi-Wan prize from the Denver, and the treatment that they give those cards really, really pops in person. You really can't say that enough until you see it in person, and then you're like, oh, wow, that's actually really cool.
For those that are in North America and looking at this decks, it should be noted that there's often in card games, and in Star Wars this is true, you'll sometimes have different metas according to different continents, which is, even though we all have the same access to cards, it's sometimes the way the players play, their local scenes impact their decisions on how they are building their decks. And so we see this set of information, which is very important, but whether this set of information will impact future events in North America, we'll have to see. It definitely will impact events in Europe, and it will have some impact on experimentation in North America. We'll have to see how much carries over. Why do you think that the Sabine player chose to use Data Vault in their deck?
I mean, to me, right off the rip, it just seems that it's better in the mirror for the extra HP over the ECL, because it's 33 versus 25. That's a pretty decent chunk. And as long as you can, I guess, dodge a good ECL play, right? You get a lot of the advantage running the extra HP. Now he does have 3 timely interventions in the main deck, so he's still able to get some ambush action going, right? So it's not like he's not getting any action. Most of the ECL lists, just looking at the top list that made the Richmond, but he runs just 2 timelies in his list, right? So most lists run 2. This guy's running 3, obviously, because he needs 10 extra cards. Got to find them somewhere. The rest of the list is pretty straightforward though, right? The outliers are really, there's Frisk, the new pilot, the 2-drop pilot that can defeat another 2-drop upgrade when he's played as a pilot. Running 3 Sundari Peacekeepers, which really isn't that spicy, but definitely is room now for the extra 10 cards. But really the main one is Radis. I've never seen that card played before.
Mm-hmm.
Holdo's Final Command, the 7-drop heroism command 8/6 that gains a Sentinel while you control another resistance card, whether that's unit, upgrade, or leader. And then when defeated, it deals damage equal to this unit's power to an enemy unit. Because I had to look up what the card did, because I didn't have the slightest clue what this card did when I saw it on the deck list. I don't know. I wasn't able to watch the games. I don't know how often this actually gets Sentinel, because the only resistance card, I believe, is the Poe Dameron unit.
So yeah, that's definitely important. I mean, for those that watch the movies, this is a pretty, if I remember correctly, pretty cringy scene for some people. Some people like the scene where this unit and its effect comes from is there. But it is a thing that can help you deal extra damage, and getting Sentinel is always nice. I wonder if this actually makes sense, though, in the Data Vault deck, because you're already admitting that, like, you're 33, so you're probably going to be a little bit less effective. Like with the ECL version, you're just trying to say, okay, I know I'm going to do everything in my deck possible to deal with my opponent, probably 27 or like probably just enough life to defeat them. Because
Right.
you're running Data Vault as opposed to ECL, you're kind of conceding that, okay, I'm not going to be as hyper aggressive. I'm still an aggressive deck, but I'm going to have to probably go slightly later into the game. And so this is just a card I'm going to use because it's going to be a little bit later. I
Go
want.
ahead.
I just wonder if that's why they ran it.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't able to watch the game, so I don't actually know yet. I'll have to watch some of those and try to figure it out. He's also running 3 Crate Dragons in the sideboard, along with 3 Chams, 3 Disabling Fang Fighters, and 1 random Bombing Run. So I made the Chams to help ramp against ramp to get you to the Crate Dragons against that deck that you wouldn't want to play Crate Dragons against. So I kind of like that. That's kind of spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, Crate Dragon is just it's such a fun card from set 2, right? Like it's such a big Timmy card, and the fact that it sees Fringe play like brings warmth to my heart.
Yeah, yeah. And it's part of, I think, the fun of playing card games is getting to do these really fun and exciting things. It's like, oh, okay, what is this? What does this mean? How does this play out? So it's just always kind of fun. I think isn't Cassian also a resistance?
No,
Sorry.
he's definitely a rebel.
Oh yeah, he's rebel. Yes, you're right. My Star Wars lore coming out.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not for the Sentinel because, like I said, the only unit is Poe, but maybe that happens more than you think? Question mark. I don't know.
Mhm. Well, clearly it worked.
Yeah, yeah, it works. Like it did work.
He had the one copy of Bomb and Run, and I think that might be from, as we talked about a little bit, the Vader 4 deck that was going around. I wonder if that was maybe a reason why he ran that. Maybe
Yeah.
something with a unity of purpose to stop.
Right. Yeah. Okay. A way to deal with all those annoying little tokens.
Yeah. I am a little surprised with the lack of, like, not lack of, because they were there, but the only one Quinlan that made the top 8, only because I peg Quinlan as a very strong deck in the current meta. Actually, and just, I'm looking now, just missing the top 8, like he lost on tiebreakers, was a Kazuda deck. A
Oh, okay.
Kazuda thermal oscillator deck was ninth place. So they were 10-2-1, and they had I guess missed out by another person who was 10-2-1. That's tough. They might both have ID'd. I wonder if that was the case. So interesting results that we got from this event. And that wasn't the only news that we had this weekend. We also got what looks like the beginning of spoiler season for Legends of the Force. Dudeness, which cards do we get revealed over the weekend?
Well, I mean, the biggest, the most baddest, the one that most fans are going to be thankful to see because it confirms that we will see non-canon content inside this game. And that is our guy, Darth Revan, Scourge of the Old Republic. And not only is this cool for the fact that we're getting non-canon content inside the game, which opens up many possibilities for units and leaders, etc., but this is also unique in that it is a single villainy aspect. That's it. You do not get a second aspect with this leader, which is the first time we've seen this, obviously, which is, I don't know how to think about what to think about that. I don't know how good it's going to be, but it's certainly pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, uh, that does sound like that is something that makes the deck building interesting, opposed to Palpatine from set 3, which had access to both villainy and heroism, and he was a cunning unit, so he actually had 3 aspects of himself.
Right.
This, we're just getting the one. I don't think we're going to get double aspect bases. That to me doesn't seem like something that I want to see, really. And
I don't want to see that
so,
either.
meaning that Darth Revan, unless you're playing Twin Suns, only has access to one other potential color. And that makes him interesting to think of in a limited perspective to me. That's the first place I'm going to go because you
Right.
already have a difficult enough time building your deck down to making your deck 30 cards with your two aspects sometimes, depending on, especially in your drafting, how you're going to make the deck out. You don't get a lot of cut spots. So drafting, I mean, we don't know what the set is. Maybe the set will have an abundance of just villainy cards.
True. But this is where they made the card rare because it does seem weird in, a draft setting, even though we didn't talk about his ability, but his ability actually seems good in a limited environment. His ability being on his leader's side, it simply says when a friendly unit attacks and defeats a unit, you can exhaust Darth Revan, and if you do, you give an experience token to the unit that just defeated a unit. So unit needs to survive, which does limit the effectiveness of the ability, I think, a bit. If it was able to give it to another unit after you defeat a unit, it would be a lot better. But as it is, we'll have to see how it goes. And then but he does deploy on 5 as a force, which we have not seen a lot of. And he comes out as a 3/6 with restore 1, with the ability always active when a friendly unit attacks and defeats a unit, give an experience token to it. Now this does count himself, so he can attack and kill something and buff himself. And I mean, you can keep going too, I guess, if you keep riding that train over and over.
I am going to say it now. I think this card is going to have the best showcase because I don't love the original art. This art is not my favorite art, especially for like what I picture Revan. And so I'm hopeful that this is going to have the dopest showcase art that we've seen yet.
I personally don't mind the art, but yeah, I mean, I hope it's a pretty cool showcase because he's definitely a fan favorite character, right?
Yes, and it's so great to see. But on this card, we do actually see something else, and that is this little gold line on the bottom. Do you know what this line is for?
That is to denote to the player that it is in fact non-canon, because I think it's very important when you're playing this game to know what cards are canon and non-canon while you're playing, so you don't get any confusion as to what is or isn't canon.
I can just imagine some universe beyond craziness, maybe where we have like Lego Star Wars Darth Jar Jar, or maybe like redeemed Vader in the game.
Like they just kind of be like, "Oh, there's a gold bar, so it's fine."
Yeah, exactly. Um, it's definitely interesting. I don't hate it.
That's fine.
I wonder how often they're going to use it. Like how often we're going to get cards from non-canon.
I think that's the big important $1,000,000 question right there. Like, I mean, I
But
guess
but
we'll see after the set, right? How many cards we see in the set that have these gold border, right? Is it just a handful? Is it more than a handful, right?
it seems like this to me at least says that Darth Revan is not our only out of canon card because you wouldn't do this if it was just like a one.
Just a
This is a
one-off, yeah, for sure.
So I think that's exciting. And for those that don't know, outside of canon, there's also Visions. So like Legends is one of the main ones where we're getting Darth Revan from, and Visions is another kind of a collection of stories that isn't related to anything, isn't considered canon, but they could potentially pull from as well. And I think they're, if I'm not mistaken, I heard they're making another, I guess, episode from Visions, and they're going to. There was a big Star Wars celebration event in Japan where they announced this, I think, and so maybe we'll get characters from that in the future. We'll have to see.
We will have to wait and see.
And then, we did get Darth Revan. Oh, final question. This is a villainy only leader. Do we think we're going to get a heroism only leader, or is it going to be like Palpatine, where we got only one side of the flipping that can flip from both cunning, heroism, and villainy?
Uh, so, like, Palpatine, while he did flip, right, from the hero to villainy, he really was slotted in on, like, the print sheet or whatever as the yellow hero leader. He just happened to flip into villainy. So, the leaders are always mirrored between them, so I would believe 100% that there would be a heroism counter to Darth Revan because most of the leaders, actually all of the leaders up to this point, have been mirrored outside of the two starter spotlight deck heroes. They kind of exist outside of the mirrorism, but there's always, two green villainy, two green hero, etc., etc. So I'm pretty confident that we will see another single heroism leader. Now, who that could be, that's the real question.
One thing I think when thinking about Darth Revan, for those that don't know his story, I won't say I'm not an expert on Darth Revan's story, but if I'm not mistaken, he has a little bit in common with Anakin, where he was on the Jedi, and then I think I heard that he turns to the Sith, and then he goes back to the Jedi. So there's like a Darth Revan that's like redeemed, and so um, I know some people were wanting him to maybe be like a Palpatine, where he flips back and forth. So I guess like I don't know. Anakin seems like a similar character that goes kind of back and forth, though Darth Vader is a different character objectively.
Right.
Um, some people like, yeah, some people view Darth Vader and Anakin as completely different people, and some see it as a fall. So I don't know. It's interesting. We'll have to see what we get though for future leaders.
So the real question is: was there any other card spoiled that might
I
be
don't think we got.
interesting
I
to
don't think we got a
hear?
single other one that anyone would ever want to play. Oh wait, wasn't there a Qui-Gon Jinn that got spoiled?
I believe there was.
Yo, that is exciting to me. Big Qui-Gon fan. I just lore wise love the idea of him following the living force. Very cool. So we got Qui-Gon Jinn, a 7 cost cunning heroism unit. That's a 7/5, a ground unit, obviously. 7/5. He's a Force Jedi Republic with ambush. And when defeated, you may choose a non-leader ground unit. Its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their deck. Couple really cool things about this card. One thing that I think first surprised me, we got Qui-Gon's leader, who seems all about when played effects. And that means on Qui-Gon Jinn, we obviously would have a when played effect. Well, we do kind of. We have Ambush, which is a when played effect. But moreover, he has a when defeated effect. So kind of interesting with the Qui-Gon leader. For those that have never played a card game before, letting putting a card on the top or bottom of your deck of a person's deck can be really impactful. Like the reason you would want to put a reason you'd want to put a card on top of your opponent's deck might be like if it's a bad card, because then you essentially like nullify one of their draws. If they have like when you're playing with 7 resources, if you put like an R2 on the top of their deck, a 1 cost R2, they're like, well, now this is a useless card basically, and so it's like a waste of one of their draws. Or if
It
it's a
is,
really good card, you put it on the bottom.
it is important to note that the owner chooses top or bottom.
Oh, it's owner. Oh, thank you. That's great to know. You get to choose a non-leader ground unit. So yeah, you get to choose where which one, if it's yours or theirs. But you're right. They get to choose top and bottom. Thank you for that.
So not as good initially as you were thinking, but still having to put it on, even if they put their good card back on top, that means that that's one less draw towards another card they want to play, right?
That is
So, I
true.
mean, it's still a good thing. It's still all good things.
That
But
is
yeah,
true.
for the reasons you were just stating, but for the opposite player, they're going to put their good card on top and their not so good card on the bottom.
Yes, thank you. He does interesting like a 7/5. Obviously 7 for 7 cost 7 ambush. It's feeling a lot like Maul. It's kind of funny how he's actually 1 less health than Maul. I wonder if that was intentional. I know it's obviously Maul. I'm talking Maul from um set
That's true.
2, which is actually, if canon wise, post meeting Qui-Gon. And actually the Maul that we get, that Darth Maul that Qui-Gon would have faced in episode 1 is a 5/6. So it does have the 5 power that could take out Qui-Gon Jinn. Interestingly, that stat line is 7 power for Qui-Gon and 6 health for that Maul. Kind of interesting interaction there. Any final thoughts that you have about Qui-Gon Jinn?
I actually like this art. I think they kind of nailed the art here. It's got this cool like smoke in the background, kind of from artist Gustavo Elisari. I'm sorry that I butchered that so bad.
I do love when they have the glow of the lightsaber that goes onto the character. I just think that's a really nice touch.
Right, yeah, exactly, like, it's creating a nice, like, uh, vibe, ambiance, like, it's creating a picture, right? I don't know.
And this is our first legendary unit that we've gotten spoiled so far, I think.
Curious.
Hmm.
I wonder
I
if we'll
wonder.
see any other legendary, perhaps, units spoiled.
I wonder if in the near future,
Hmm,
maybe like on Friday,
Friday the 9th.
Friday the 9th, check out our YouTube channel, and you might get something else that may be in the future coming.
Maybe, perhaps.
We did actually get another card that I wanted to talk about. We did get a couple spoilers, but I want to highlight one in particular. And this was from a Game Genic product reveal. And we got what we don't know. I don't know if we know. Oh, we do know this for certain. This was the first of the prestige foils, prestige rarity cards from this set. And we got Grogu. This is a 3-cost heroism unit that is a 1/6 hidden. Hidden meaning that they can't attack the turn that can't be attacked the turn you play them. He has an action to heal up to 2 damage from a unit, and if you do deal that much damage to a unit. Someone in our Discord post this is a plug by the way, check out our Discord so you can hear these conversations live. Someone talked about playing Han 2 with Grogu and getting to play using Han's effect, playing Grogu out turn 1, and then it has 2 damage on it. And then next turn, using Grogu's effect, healing the 2 damage that you got on the Grogu and dealing 2 damage to your opponent's unit. And that seems pretty spicy.
It seems pretty cool, yeah, and,
So
I just really wanna talk about the art on this Grogu prestige card is 10 out of 10 slam dunk. It's really good, actually, like, I'm a sucker for this little this little guy here, this little Grogu, this mysterious child, as it were, and, they definitely nailed the art here again, for sure.
I actually want to point out I forgot this is also a legendary card actually.
Oh, right, yeah, it is legendary. True
We're
enough.
getting our first legendary heroism only card.
And I mean, it definitely does feel good in the Han deck because you can play it turn 1 and ping something off right away. Um, I don't know how good that's actually will be, right? I don't know how good it actually will be outside of that.
And sorry, talking about Grogu, I wanted to talk just briefly going back to that regional. I heard that one of the Quinlan decks played a turn 1 Grogu from set 2 and then played 3 force throws on the next turn. Sorry, played Grogu on turn 1 and then played 3 force throws on turn 2.
Uh, yeah, I would scoop if I was the opponent. I would be like, all right, geez.
So in that way, I think Grogu probably won't. Well, yes, you could do that in Han too. Actually, with this Grogu, that'd
Yeah.
be pretty gross.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, this is the first card we've seen with hidden too, right?
No, we got the Anakin hidden from the previous
Oh,
season.
right, right. Yeah, yeah, right.
So it is cool though. Like it is. This is a 1/6, so you're getting like as opposed to that set 2 Grogu. This is 1 more power, 1 more health, and it does have hidden, so it can't be attacked the turn that's played, which will let him use that effect. Basically, for sure, you'll get to use that effect if you have a damaged unit.
For sure, and also because a 1/6, like if your opponent plays a 1/6, that's annoying. You just attack into it because a 1/6 is kind of worthless, right?
Hmm.
But the hidden actually protects that because it guarantees that they can't just attack right into it as soon as you play it. Even though if you play it on curve, I mean, your opponent really is only going to have 1, maybe 2 minions at the most.
I think what I think is really good with it, it's gonna be really hard to. I feel like later games to remove. Like if you when we're seeing it's a force trait, and we've seen a lot of really good force cards. So by playing this and it has hidden, even if I play it like resource 7, I'm thinking like the force is with me, the 4-cost card from set 1. You can
Yeah,
play this Grogu. They can't attack it. It can't be taken down. So they have to find another way to remove it. And then it has you with the force online, so you can do something with that force trait. So I think in that way we'll see it even it's not like I don't think you have to play it just on turn 3 for it to be have value. Turn 2, I guess, resource 3.
True, 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 true.
Yeah, so those were some of the cards. There were some other cards that were spoiled that we will probably get to at some point in talking, but I just wanted to those were kind of some of the big spoilers that we really wanted to touch on here. And we also wanted to talk about how our week in SWU was. Dunas, do you want to start us off?
So this past week at the locals, we had a Twin Sons, you can call it a tournament, but we had 8 people show up and we had 2 tables of 4. We played 2 games total, and the winners of the first round, the top 2 went to one table and the bottom 2 went to the second table, and the winners played each other out. And it was pretty fun. I will know that we were playing with the FFG house rule of plus 10 HB to the base, which I think made the game better. It was my first time trying it out. I think it was all of our first times trying it, and I myself think it worked out a lot better. It allowed you to. It definitely gave at least one more turn to the game on on average. Because the deck that I brought was the same deck I have been playing in Twin Suns for a while now, the Anakin Skywalker and Step 1 Luke Skywalker, the old father-son Jedi duo. You gotta love it, they're great. And having the extra 10 HP, I think greatly helps this deck, because usually I would get to deploy Luke and Anakin, and the game was over usually on that turn. Right? Very rarely did they get to attack twice. Whereas here, I definitely was able to get a second attack off, and sometimes even a third, maybe, I can't remember. But it definitely delayed the game, let it go further, which I think is an issue because the games they end a bit too soon. There's not enough late game action.
Hmm. I
Um,
wonder.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
go on.
No,
No,
go
no,
ahead.
go. Okay. I wonder if there's a way to address that with certain bases, like a 30 health base that says if you have a second leader, gain 10 life or something like that, like where they wouldn't have to necessarily change the game. Like they can make decks that that really are essentially only used in Twin Suns. I'm thinking about in like Magic, there's certain commander things you can that they have. Like there's certain lands in Magic that are like tap
Command
make
Tower.
a yeah make a mana of your commander's uh identity type. So in Magic, that's really important to have mana of your commander's color, and that doesn't do anything in a normal game of Standard.
So one of the guys at the locals named Jim, he's been saying he's pitching the idea of making like Twin Suns OP packs in a way, right? The FFG prints. And inside of each of these packs is a guaranteed one base that has 40 HP that just has a text Twin Suns only.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I kind of like the idea. And it's kind of neat because it would help to maybe bring more attention to the idea of having extra HP on the bases.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I do, and I think that that might be what they end up doing. I guess I'm one thing I'm thinking of, and I don't. I would. I think the way that the game's designed, you can also do interesting things. Like they could make cards that are even in main sets that are like double villainy aspect as the card. So in regular gameplay, you can play that in standard, but no single like a Darth Revan deck. There's no villainy base, so you have to pay 2 more for it. Where in Twin Suns, you've got 2 villainy leaders, so you can just like it can be more focused on Twin Suns. Again, I'm not saying it has to do this or this is their only way. They can also do the OP pack as well. I just would also like to see cards like that. It's like, okay, this is a card that I can play in standard. It probably won't be good, but I could play it in Twin Suns, so it has like a purpose there. I don't know. We'll just have to see. I
Yeah,
guess
we'll see.
it's within the realm of possibility. I guess they
For
made
sure.
they made the game in such a way that you could do something like that.
We could do that.
And for me, over this weekend, there was a SCG event, a 1K that I played in. and I got to meet Main Deck Dan. So shout out to Main Deck Dan, who was helping to run the event. And I ended up playing my Krennic Data Vault, which was fun. I did not end up making top 8 for a prize payout. I did end up beating the person who won. He was playing a double Cunning Han from set 1. In one of my matches, I was really sad. I was 1 kill away from beating Sabine in a best of 3. 1 action away, and they used a heroic sacrifice on their Poe to deal 10 damage to my base, and then they played their For a Cause and hit all 4 of their heroism units, and was able to use their Sabine ping to get rid of me just in the nick of time.
Oh,
And
no.
then, yeah, and then in one of my Quinlan matchup, game 1 he triple force throwed me, and in game 2 he triple spark rebellion to me. I just couldn't draw anything near the end. So I missed out, but that's okay. It was a fun time. And then I played in a planetary qualifier on the Saturday. That was the Friday. This was the Saturday. I played in a planetary, and I ended up going 2-3 there. 2 matches, unfortunately. I mulliganed hand 1, and hand 2, I had nothing less than a 5 drop in one hand, and I had an entrenched, and then 5, 8 or more cost units. And then I ended up drawing subsequently 2 more 7 cost units. So
No,
I had,
no, not like this.
yeah, so I was not playing the game, which is kind of a sucky way to lose when you're not playing. But that's life. That's how card games go.
How many players were there?
In the 1K ended up being 20 players
Okay.
on the Friday. Now this was a Friday at 11 a.m. So I wonder if that maybe had to deal with the lack of people. But it was a very interesting day. They had a store showdown in the same city as the planetary qualifier, and then they had another SCG event in the downtown of the city that was a 2K that day. So the 2K only had 13 people that showed up because most of us were playing at the planetary,
Yeah.
and then some would have been playing at the store showdown.
Yeah, that's just a silly.
So the planetary ended up we had 64 on the dot. So
That's not
it would have yeah, it's not too bad. It would have been like anyone that went to the 2K though. If there was 13 people, you just had to finish over half really, and you guaranteed. I think it was $100 payout for top 8, and then top prize was $700, $40 entry. So if you're doing the math at home, the math is not working for SCG's favor there.
not ideal.
So that was my weekend swoo. I am now looking forward and turning my attention to 3 weeks away when there'll be the regional here in Minneapolis, getting some cool promos, hopefully Array, oh, for sure Array, and hopefully one of those Palpatine ones.
Hopefully. I guess I'll say
Wonderful.
one last thing is May the 4th be with you.
And make sure you be care for Revenge of the Fifth as you listen to this podcast. We'll see you next time on El Maneuver.
Yep, cheers guys.